Chapter 1. Computer, History and Development. Nothing makes modern life better than computer. They have entered into every field today. But when and how did all this technology develop, and where is it leading? To fully understand and appreciate the computer technology and the promises it holds for the future, it is important to know that how it has been developed over the years. In this chapter, we will have an overview of the invention and development of computer technology. The early counting devices. Calculation had been a need from the early days when ancient people started exchanging things with one another, and also when they had to count their belongings. For example, flocks of sheep. Early men counted by means of matching one set of objects with another set. For example, stones matched with sheep. They used stones or pebbles for counting. But for counting large number of objects, this method became tedious, and the need of a counting device was realized. Early counting table named ABACI not only formalized this counting method but also introduced the concept of place value that we use today. Abacus, the first counting device. Abacus was invented by the Chinese thousands of years ago. It had a frame of wires with beads strung on them. Each wire represented the place value of numbers, and the bead represented the number itself. Beads were used to count, add, and subtract by moving them up and down. In 1642, Blaise Pascal creates the first calculating machine. Blaise Pascal was a French mathematician and physicist. He created the first mechanical calculator. The machine could not only add, but it could also do division by using the addition method only. This technique is often used in computers today. In 1673, the Leibniz calculator, Gottfried von Leibniz, made a calculating machine in 1673 which could do addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. In 1822, Charles Babbage designed the difference engine. Charles Babbage made the difference engine in the year 1822 to help in the creation of tables, which was used by the banking and trading industries. Babbage actually could not complete the difference engine. The machine was then completed in 1990 by London's Science Museum. The completed engine, made according to Babbage's plans, worked as he had planned. Babbage began working on his analytical engine, which is an advanced version of the difference engine, before the difference engine was completed. The analytical engine could take instructions from punch cards, and it could have been the most powerful computer constructed up to that time. But Babbage could not overcome the technical difficulties of the machine, and it was never completed. Though he could not succeed in completing that machine, but for his invaluable ideas in the field of computers and for giving the basic design of today's computer, he is called as the father of computers. In 1944, the first large-scale automatic computer, the Mark I, is completed. Howard Aiken, a Harvard University professor, was the primary developer of Mark I computer. The Mark I was more powerful than any other machine that came before it. This computer could add, subtract, multiply, or divide two numbers up to 23 digits in length, all in a few seconds. The machine consisted of over 7,50,000 pieces and weighed over 5 tons. The Mark I allowed for many new possibilities in science and government analysis. In 1946, the ENIAC is created. The electronic numerical integrator and calculator, the ENIAC, was constructed between 1943 and 1946 at the University of Pennsylvania. It was the most powerful computer by that time, but was the largest as well, weighing over 30 tons. Additionally, it required almost 50 vacuum tubes to be replaced every day. While operating, the ENIAC used almost 150 kilowatts of power, which is equivalent to what many small towns used at that time. The ENIAC was important because of its power, but its many drawbacks made it unrealistic for common use. One of these drawbacks was that it had no memory. The same researchers who created the ENIAC then set out to create a similar computer which allowed for the storing of programs. In 1954, the Fortran language is created. Fortran was the first high-level language developed by John Backus, which remained in use for the next 15 years. John Backus invented Fortran while working for IBM. The first program was run by Hermann Herrick in the same year. In 1958, the first integrated circuit IC is created. Jack Kilby, an employee of Texas Instruments, successfully attached several components to a single piece of semiconductor. This allowed the size of computers to be decreased immensely by placing greater power on each piece of semiconductor. He was the first person to successfully create an integrated circuit, that is IC. In 1964, BASIC language was developed. BASIC stands for Beginner's All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code. It is a high-level language which was developed by Thomas Kurtz and John Kemeny. It remained in use for the next 25 years. One unique quality of BASIC was that it was very much like the English language, and it was easier to understand than previous computer languages. This made programming easier and made it more like speaking commands in plain English. BASIC language is still taught to beginners in computer field, especially in schools. 1975. Computers, the ones we know and love, have not been around all that long. The first PC, personal computer, was launched in 1975, and in 1993 the number had jumped to more than 90 million. Later, Bill Gates and Paul Allen developed a basic language compiler. 1981. IBM launches its first PC. In 1981, the first PC was developed by IBM, that's International Business Machines. IBM had previously sold only mainframes, but was seen as one of the leaders in the computer industry. After 1981, we have the evolution of the Internet. Since 1981, the speed of computers has been improved dramatically. Computers became popular amongst common man. The biggest advance has been the Internet technology. Tim Berners-Lee, a researcher in Switzerland, developed the WWW, that's the World Wide Web, to make the information on the Internet easier to read and understand. This allowed the Internet to be used much easier by the general public. People began using the Internet for email, shopping, and for finding information. It became a way of life for most of the people. Computers became a part of nearly every home, or at least the home that everyone pictures as average. New technology. There has been an abundance of new technologies in the 1980s and 1990s. The scanner, modem, and mouse all became common devices by that time. Softwares such as Microsoft Windows have made computers easier for all.